All right. Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Robert. I'm going to do, I told it, classical Christmas music, a little Christmas gospel too at the very end, which is a subgenre of sorts. But to start, I'd like to do, as usual, an improvisation. And here's what we're going to do today. I have to think of different improvisation guides because I come, I'm here once a month. So, do you know the composer Sergei Prokofiev? Russian composer. He's a great composer. And he's fun to sort of parody because what he often sounds like Mozart with wrong notes. And it's funny. So, and he was kind of a modernist, in the vein of Stravinsky and such. So there's some dissonance and some unexpected things you're going to hear. So what I'm going to ask you is to give me maybe a Christmas tune. It could be anything, but it could be Happy Birthday, but maybe a Christmas melody that everybody knows, and that's going to sound very weird in the style of Prokofiev. Oh, Holy Night might...
White Christmas. White Christmas.
I'm dreaming of a white Christmas.
Santa Claus is coming to town.
Could we do Santa Claus is coming to town? Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right. So let me check.
Me and my big mouth.
Oh no, I'm just thinking what I apologize to those. I don't know if the slower lyrical things would work as well. You know what I mean? So
I don't know what name would come to my mind.
Very good. Something like that, right? Okay, so in the style of Prokofiev, though, that's the thing. I was doing something else.
Yeah.
Okay, so Santa Claus. Okay, let's do that again. I'm sorry. So you better watch out. I was going to do Jingle Bells. I don't know, stupid. Okay, so because they all. Okay, let's do it again. Sorry, the traffic. Okay, so take two. That's the thing. Improvisation, you take a lot of risks. So, and then I realized, how does it go again? How about chestnuts roasting on an open fire?
I love that.
Right.
Yeah, it would be nice to have a fire going here because it's so cold out there. It's terrible. Okay, with a little jazzy twist to it.
Oh, good.
before getting into the classical stuff. So, Charlie Brown, this is Christmas time is here. Vince Guaraldi, you probably know this. Well, now I'm going to play something I've done a few times here before. And if you're tired of hearing it, well, I'm sorry, but it's one of those things you have to live with it. I mean, I have to live with it to really, which is Beethoven, the first movement of the, well, it's called, actually, this is the Piano Concerto number 6, which is Beethoven's own arrangement of the Violin Concerto. And, you know, I've told you this story a bunch of times, but the piece was sort of a dud at the first performance, and Beethoven rewrote the piece for piano because the first performance didn't go well. And the audience might not have picked up on something in this music, which is very introspective for Beethoven. It's very lyrical. It's not hitting you over the head with it. Well, sometimes it does actually, but for Beethoven, it's pretty tame. But he wrote it at the time he was losing his hearing, and he knew that. And so some people say this is a piece of acceptance. He's very philosophical about it. And so it's also a piece of quiet hope. And I think all Beethoven is like that. I'll tell you something, I was listening to Schubert in the car yesterday. And I love Schubert, he's one of my favorite composers. But Schubert, too much of Schubert can make a person quite down. Beethoven, and this is not a question of quality, I love them both equally, but they're very different. Schubert is ultimately tragic. Beethoven can be so tragic, but there's always an optimistic, something positive there. He was a person, a product of the Enlightenment. It reminds me of a joke that, of course, Beethoven was from Bonn, he was German. Schubert was from Vienna. Maybe I told you this joke before. It's the explanation of the difference between Berlin and Vienna. German culture and Viennese Austrian culture. What's the difference? In Berlin, or Bonn, where Beethoven's from, in Berlin, things are, how to say, I'm forgetting. Yeah, things are very serious, but there's hope. That's what it is. In Berlin, things are very serious, but there's hope. In Vienna, things are not so serious, but there's no hope. You get it? It's a generalization, but it's, to me, the difference between Beethoven, who would be the German, it's very serious, but there's hopefulness. Whereas someone like Mahler or Schubert, a Viennese composer, there's a lightness and everything, but under the surface, it's quite dark. So that's Beethoven. And that's what it does for me. If you get a chance, there's a document Beethoven wrote around the time, a little bit before he wrote this piece. And it's called the Heilige Stadt Testimony. He describes going deaf. And there's one part there, he's in the countryside, which he loved. And this piece is evocative of the countryside, by the way. But he was with a friend, and the friend says, "Do you hear the beautiful shepherd's song in the distance?" And he couldn't hear it, Beethoven. And he was so depressed about that. He even speaks there about he's contemplating to take his own life. But then he finds this resolve to go on, no matter what. And by the end of his life, he couldn't hear at all, hardly. But so he would hear the music in his head. There's a famous story. He was conducting the Ninth Symphony, the last symphony, almost with no hearing left. And this performance was going on, and the choir and orchestra finished, but Beethoven was still conducting. And somebody had to tap him on the shoulder and say, yeah. So, but the music was in him. Wow. That's the point. So this is the first, it's quite long. It's like longer than it's about the same as my drive today. So, I'm kidding. That was longer. Beethoven Violin Concerto, first movement adapted for piano by Beethoven himself. but a couple things about that piece that are interesting. One is only Beethoven could do this. The piece grows out of a idea that's played by a timpani drum. And it's in the very beginning and it's throughout. You probably heard it. It's just 4 notes, that's it. And that is really the seed from which the whole piece grows. Just that thing. It's almost silly. It's bum, 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 bum. But it's so powerful what he does with it and how he develops it. So only, I think Beethoven only could take something so rudimentary, seemingly, and turn it into this glorious thing. So another thing I want to mention is that I know some violinists, some violin friends they're not really thrilled with what I'm doing because they say, look, this is our music. And that's a good point. But there's something curious about this piece. The cadenzas. Cadenzas traditionally were improvised solos, but Beethoven tended to write out his own cadenzas. But he did not for the violin concerto. But for the piano version he did write cadenza. I played one, it's towards the end, it's where it goes really bonkers, you know? That's the cadenza. It's actually for soloist and timpani. That's weird. Usually it's for the instrument alone. But here's the thing. There's a violinist, I was just reading about this a couple days ago. An Austrian violinist, Wolfgang Schneiderhahn, it's a very German name, you know? He was very interested in this fact that, he was a little bit disturbed that the violin concerto doesn't have an original cadenza. So he took the piano cadenzas, I played the one there, and he arranged it for violin. So I'll tell that to my violinist friends. I said, no, wait a minute. I may be playing your repertoire, but you're also playing my repertoire. So let's agree to disagree and just, but anyway, speaking of playing things that are not in our territory, I'm definitely not a jazz pianist, but here's a Dave Brubeck Christmas. I'm going to play something out of here. How about Winter Wonderland? Or Winter Horrorland, if you're asking me, outside. But here it is, in a nice jazzy style. So if the Beethoven was a little heavy for you, there's something for everyone here. So. but I'm sorry, it is Dave Brubeck, so he starts with the singable part and then goes into some jazzy.
Yeah.
So you did right, you just dropped out and let the jazzy stuff out, and then you got back. So okay, good. Top choir, okay. So let's see. How about something else before going back to classical? So where are you going to hear Beethoven and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer all in one concert? All right, Rudolph. A jazzy Rudolph. So I'm working on two big pieces and then a lot of small pieces. The big ones are obviously the Beethoven, and I'm almost done with the third movement. Just taking a while. It's like the crock pot, you have to wait. Sorry, I like food analogies. And then also the César Franck Violin Sonata, arranged for piano solo by Alfred Cortot. That's what I've been intermittently played different parts of it. I'm going to do the third movement now. I'm not sure if I've done the third movement here. Maybe, I don't remember. I don't think so. So about Franck, he was born in Belgium but lived mostly in France, musician. He was sort of the polar opposite of Mozart. You know, Mozart was a child prodigy, died very young. Franck lived a long time, and his real creative flowering, his musicality really flourished starting at age 7. So I just read a funny story about him, because those late works of his, they're very intense. You know, they're very intense, very emotional. You're going to hear it. And his wife got mad at him because there was a concert. They were doing the piano quintet. And his wife said to him afterwards, "Who is that person? That's not you. That's not the man I married." She was mad at him. She said, have you been hiding this side of yourself for me? So I thought that was kind of funny. Now, this third movement is called recitativo. A recitative in opera is semi-spoken, semi-sung. It's improvisational. Franck was a church organist for most of his life. And here's what I'm thinking. This piece in particular was probably inspired by church service improvisations. It's a practical matter, especially for communion. Let's say you have an enormous congregation and they're all taking communion. Well, the organist is going to have to improvise. And what if he or she finishes and people are still taking communion? See, so you have to keep playing. And I'm sure Franck did that, and I think that's where this comes from. At least the first half of this movement. Then it gets very, intense. But That's what I'm thinking it is. Find what I want to say, that people associate this piece with Marcel Proust. Because in Proust's novel Swan's Way, there's a fictional violin sonata, which is probably based on the front. And corny joke, it's not Frank Sinatra, it's Frank Sinatra. I always tell you, yeah. So, here's the third movement of the front. Yeah, that's right. Intense music. And as I said, don't worry, if this is not your cup of tea, we got more Christmas stuff. So, but I love it. Now, Franck's music to me is, and this is not a negative association, but you know blackstrap molasses. Try pouring. The phrasing of this music feels like that to me. It really, and he was influenced by Wagner and some of that. So I'm going to do the second movement of the Franck. I know I just did the third, I'm going to do the second. This is a really crazy piece. This is maybe one of the ones that made his wife upset.
I didn't know that.
Well, like I was there, right? No. Yeah, it was it was in back in the 80s, the 1880s. So this piece, one lady told me when I played it, she said he must have been a very angry man. So, okay. So one more Franck, and then I have some more light stuff. Okay, so it's great music. It's just terrifying, and it's terrifying to play it too. All right.
So what did you think?
I hope it's okay. I'm going to go a little over because we started a little late. I had traffic, so I want to give you the full. If you need to leave, please don't do that. Now.
Thank you, thank you.
Oh, no, it's okay. I'm going to play a jazzy Jingle Bells.
Oh.
So, because, that was pretty depressing. So why don't we have something not so depressing? This is a manic Jingle Bells that can't make up its mind what style it is. It's in jazz for a little bit, and then it goes into this Latin thing, and then it's just all over the place, but it's fun. Now where is, oh, here it is. Now these are, I had some notes, but these are arrangements by a guy named Philip Keverin, but I'm changing some things. But it's mostly his arrangements here, so thanks to him. All right, getting to the end here. One more classical piece. This is something I haven't done here. It's new. I had this, it's all gone now, so I had this virus a couple weeks ago.
Oh, no.
You ever heard of hand, foot, mouth?
Yep.
Hand, foot, mouth, it's a virus. And I'd never even heard of it. I thought it was something that cows got. Apparently not, and it was awful. So I did not touch the piano for 9 days, which is unthinkable. But anyway, I did learn this slightly before I fell victim to that terrible virus. Don't get it. But it's mostly kids have it. I have small kids, and they must have brought it to me. But even the doctor said to me, "What's the matter with you? This is something 4-year-olds get." And I said, "Look, I don't know. I guess I'm a young person at heart." So this is called Habanera by Pablo de Sarasate. I've done another habanera here by Ravel, but this is a more straightforward habanera. Habanera is a popular Spanish dance with roots in Cuba, Havana. It has this nice rhythm like bum bum. Yeah, it has that. And this piece, I mean, I don't know, I imagine either a bullfighter or a conquistador or something. It's very Spanish. So here it is. It's a violin piece too. Pablo de Sarasate was this great Spanish violinist with a big mustache. So here it is.
You sound like you met him.
Well, I feel as if I did, but I didn't. Just full disclosure. So here.
How do you know? How do you know?
Oh well,
It's okay.
I didn't know Elvis. No, I didn't.
close, maybe one more. Is that all right? I'll do Go Tell It on the Mountain. It's not quite time, but it, in a very southern gospel style. And thank you for coming. I did go quite long. I guess fitting in all the Christmas things and the classical turns out to be a lot. So, all right, here it is. We can wrap up. So thank you all so much. Have a wonderful evening. Don't go outside. It's cold. All right. Good night.